Hi, everyone. Ashley Mailloux, Mike Beer here, taking a look at the Thursday race of the day for November 13th. We'll go out to New York. Aqueduct, they have a turf stakes race at a mile. It's the key sense. It's for the 2-year-old fillies, for the New York bred fillies. It's a little sort of a tricky of a race here. I don't want to say it's a little field. It's a good field here, Mike, of 9, but it's a little tricky in terms of trying to figure out who's going to take a step forward as they are so lightly raced and, a field that top to bottom is quite competitive.
I agree with you. I like the way that you put it there. Tricky is probably a good way to describe this race. I mean, it just feels like, I don't know if you had the same experience I did actually, but just going through this race from top to bottom, 1 through 9, I wanted to make a case for everybody in this field.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's really tough to come up with 4 horses you like, and this was one of the situations where how do I get it down to 4 horses and 4 horses only? We'll take a look at the time form U.S. pace projection here, and I'll be very curious to see how this pans out. I don't necessarily always trust the pace projectors with the youngsters, but it does look like Fancy Lights. I pretty much would agree coming out of the turf sprints probably will be your pace setter.
Probably, yeah. We do have 2 horses that draw into the 2 outside posts here, and they're both stretching out from exclusively sprint races. So, we'll see what those guys decide to do there from outside posts. There are horses toward the inside, though, who I would describe them more as tactical than as speedy. Ashley, the pace projector has number 2 Neshika up there, which is kind of interesting. I'll be very interested to see what Rosario does, because 2 back when they stretched her out, she was unrateable and just sort of ran off on the lead. Rosario got this horse to settle very nicely last time.
And you can see the LP late pace flag is attached to the number 3 Considerate City. We will kick it off here, though, with the number 1 She's Country, who was able to win on debut. She did it pretty impressively at Saratoga. And then next time we saw her at Laurel Park in the Salima. And I think it's kind of interesting to look at that, because going into the Breeders' Cup weekend, I really liked Ultimate Love, who ended up going as the post-time favorite, but didn't fare all that well. And a lot of people looked into the Salima as maybe a race to key in on. How did you gauge the performance last out?
Listen, my take on the Salima is this filly ran fine in there, and she just wasn't good enough. It was, a better field, and just couldn't really go with them. And I'm sort of with you. I think Ultimate Love, if you want to say she was disappointing at the Breeders' Cup, that's fine. I just feel like she ran her race in that race, and she wasn't quite good enough. I don't know how hard you're really supposed to be on her, and I still feel like she's a really good horse. And she was just better than She's Country that day. I don't know. She ran fine in there. Really liked her debut. Just did everything right in that race. She's got really good tactical speed from the rail. She's back in with New York breds now after trying a tougher open race last time. I just thought she was super logical in here.
I think I'm salty. I thought Ultimate Love would be a price, and thought
Me too.
thought that was intriguing, and that wasn't the case, as we come to find out just a couple weekends ago. The 2 Neshika in here for Mike Maker. You talked about sort of the tactics used 2 back, and then things didn't necessarily go their way early, and it still ended up being a winning trip when it was all said and done. And I think the good thing about her, Mike, is that she has taken those steps forward. Her figures have improved, and in terms of tactics, I actually think Joel Rosario will have options. Joel should be able to do whatever he really wants with her early, depending on the pace.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I mean, when she stretched out for the first time 2 starts back, she just sort of ran off early in that race, blew the first turn, went a really solid pace in that race up the backstretch, and got a little tired at the end. But all in all, I just thought it was a nice move in the right direction. And then I thought she just ran even better last time. Not only did she settle way better, but around the final turn, she just got caught in a bunch of traffic. She had to steady. She lost position. Rosario had to sort of force his way out into the clear in the stretch. And when she got in the clear, she came running and she closed that race down. I just thought that was maybe even a better effort than it looks on paper. I'm not even sure how much she has to improve to be competitive in here. She's also a really good price on the line.
Dylan Davis will climb aboard the number 3 Considerate City for the first time. And she hasn't necessarily crossed the wire in first yet, but she was able to be awarded the victory on her debut. And it's interesting, her first 2 starts, she wore blinkers. They took them off last time out. She was closing there on what ended up being a pretty slow pace, at least until the half. And now the blinkers go back on. And I actually think that probably puts her in a better spot, even maybe a better spot than the pace projector sort of showed there just moments ago.
Yeah, she's pretty good. I actually feel like she's run pretty well in all 3 of her starts. Now, she, maybe was with a little too much to do last time. She did not run as well as Neshika last time, but she still ran okay, probably better than it looks on paper. Her first 2 starts were also, I thought, both pretty good. This is not an easy spot for her, though. She's going to be a great price. I don't really want to knock her too much, but I'm probably not using her in here.
The number 4, Boomington here for the Weaver Barn. John Velasquez climbs back aboard this filly, a daughter of Maxfield. She won on debut at Saratoga. They obviously jumped her up in a big way, and she wasn't able to answer that task. But I do think she's well spotted here. And again, when we're talking about trips, she should be mid-pack in here. And based on what we saw at Saratoga, if she can do that again, I think she's a big factor in here. I'm curious to see how she's going to be played from a wagering standpoint.
Me too. Yeah, I mean, just like her stablemate that's drawn to the rail. They just tried a way tougher open stakes race last time, and she just looked overmatched a little bit in there. She also lost position early in that race, and so she had a little bit of an excuse, but it just looked to me like it was too tough. Her debut was good. It is a race that had a really good pace for her to come after, but it's not like she got a perfectly clean trip into it. She had the alter course in the stretch. Big finish there to get up over Cosmic Candy Girl, who we're going to get to in a minute, who's in here, and she's a contender in this race. So I don't know, man. This is another one. She's easy to make a case for, but I just kind of want to wait and see what kind of price she is.
The 5, Maria Callas, will take a look at her most recent performance. So she took a lot of play on debut, going 2 turns. They cut her back next time to 6 furlongs. And she gets the trip that, she sort of, maybe wants to get, which is mid-pack in a sprint. And I just thought when she sort of pours it on here late, she ends up being much the best visually, Mike. I thought it was a good performance. And I know maybe you have distance reservations with her, but I don't know. I think she's very sneaky in here.
Yeah, I do too. And she's one of the horses that I just wanted to try to keep an open mind about, especially if she's anywhere near the 8-1. I would just say about her debut that when they did go long with her, again, it may not look like a super strong pace on paper, but when you go back and watch that race, they were moving up front in that race, and she was involved in that race, got really tired in the final furlong and sort of gave it up. But she did some racing in there on a fast pace, and then when they cut her back last time, you just showed the replay. She was way better than those horses. I'm with you. I think she's a little sneaky in here, stretching back out.
The 6, Miss Moxee, this one for Linda Rice. She's 2 for 3 in her career. Those 2 wins, though, Presque Isle, different surface. I will give her, I guess, a little bit of a plus for the race last time out at a mile. But then I go back to the figure. Figure was a whole lot worse than it was on the debut. And again, she only debuted for $25,000 main claimers.
Yeah, we'll see what she does as, maybe the longest shot on the board in this race, Ashley. I mean, again, I wanted to make a case for just about everybody in this race, but Miss Moxee wasn't one of them.
The number 7, Cosmic Candy Girl, will take a look at her most recent performance. And she's a horse that in terms of her resume, she's done very little wrong. Even on the debut, I liked her effort, knowing that it was carted for the turf, moved to the main track. And I think this is a very good performance from her, the way she's able to kind of move past one of her rivals. And there are others from the back that are starting to close, but I still think she is moving forward in the right direction and in the right way as well.
Yeah, I agree. All of her races are good. She's a really tactical horse, so it just feels like maybe she's going to get another. She got a great trip in this race we're watching. It feels like she's going to get another one in this race. And again, just going back to the race 2 back, the Boomington race, that pace was solid, man. And she was up close to it, ahead of Boomington in there, and hit the lead before that horse before she just got nailed. All of her races are good. I think she's a major player in here.
The 8, Fancy Lights. This is the stable mate to a couple of the other horses in here, Boomington and She's Country. She's a horse that she has taken a little bit of a step forward with each of those efforts. I think looking at her last time out, being close to the pace helped her. I'm just a little concerned now that she does have to stretch out in distance while stepping up in class.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess, Ashley. I mean, maybe she'll show speed here, make the lead, and will really handle the stretch out. But I don't love her pedigree for the stretch out. And I don't know. We'll see. I guess she was pretty good last time. I was way against her at a short price last time because I hated her race 2 back. I thought she lost without excuse 2 starts back, and I was just way against her last time, and she won for fun.
The 9, Sacred Goddess, going to round out the field. I kept on going back to her, and I just want to find a way to use her. And I know last time out, she finishes mid-pack, but you got to remember Piper's Gift ended up drawing clear by 5.5. And I think kind of looking at the horses up there at Woodbine, the 2-year-olds, they're going to have their hands full looking ahead to, the 3-year-old season with her. She's had 2 huge efforts at 6 furlongs and 7 furlongs. And now I'm kind of curious about this one stretching out in distance. I'm not necessarily totally against that with her.
I'm not either. I think you and I sort of look at her the same. I don't know that 6-1's the right price, but I feel like if she drifts off that, I would try to find a way to use her because I really liked her debut. The Bolton Landing, I don't know how they thought she was going to win that race. That was a super strong field, and she was not embarrassed by those horses. Then she got wired back in with New York Breds 2 starts back. Never really had a fair chance in there. I don't know. I think this horse, at a bigger price, I think she's really interesting.
And you mentioned the Bolton Landing. We know a horse out of there, Sci-Fair, ended up winning one of the Breeders' Cup races just a couple of weeks ago. So a very interesting Thursday race of the day. As you said, Mike, it's a tricky one. Don't forget free pass performances on the DRF website. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let us know who you like, because in a rare kind of change of events here, Mike likes most of the field or wants to make a case for most of them. And Mike, you end up going to a horse that's going to offer value in here. At least it seems that way. The 2, Neshika. And what ultimately led to that? Her versatility and what you've seen so far?
Definitely that. Definitely her most recent start, which again I think makes her a contender anyway, but is might be even better than it looks on paper, because she had to overcome a little bit of trouble. And then also just the fact that when I get a race like this where, I'm looking at 4 or 5 different horses to make cases for, I'm just always going to go to the horse that has a chance to be the best price. And that could be the 2.
And you mentioned tossing horses. You tossed to Boomington. That's who I go to. I toss She's Country. It's so tough in here. But just thought Boomington, in terms of the debut, just overmatched last time out. This should be the right spot to really assess what her capabilities are, especially getting back against the New York bred. So 2174 for Mike, 479 for me. Challenging edition of the Key Sense. Good luck.